Hello, friends, and welcome back to What's Your Skincare Routine with Leora Luciano. It's a brand new year, and I know we're so excited to move forward, but I think it's essential to pause and reflect to celebrate both the triumphs and the lessons of the previous year before we go into 2025. It's so easy to get caught up in the highlight reel of life, especially on social media, those picture perfect moments or beautiful videos. While those are great and important to note, the thing is that real growth happens when we embrace the full spectrum of all of our experiences. It's the wins, the challenges, and really everything in between. In the past, I've wanted to go full steam ahead into the new year, leave the old year behind. However, I think it is really important just to take time. And actually, this is the first episode of the new year, and it coincides with our 1 year anniversary of the podcast. So happy Pod-iversary to What's Your Skincare Routine with Leora Luciano. It's been a full year and I've learned so much in the process. Every time I record an episode, I've learned lessons, from technical to just production, everything in between. And now I'm doing video as well. So that's yet another set of learning lessons. And if you ask anyone who has a podcast, they will tell you there is always something that comes up, whether it's the technical stuff or maybe you have a guest drop out at the last minute. All of these things happen and you just kind of roll with the punches. So for me, it's really important to look back where I was, even with the podcast. When I first started, it took me a really long time to get started. And I think back and I think about, wow, I should have started way sooner. Sure, easier said than done. But the fact that I was consistent and stuck with it, and I'm really trying to grow a community and connect more with everyone who listens and everyone who is interested in all the things that we talk about here with certain goals for the future. I want to stop and take a step back and kind of review. So I want to do some exercises and you can grab a pen and paper. What I want to do is share what I've done to reflect on the previous year. You can use these questions as prompts for yourself as well. Here are the questions that I ask myself, and I encourage you to take a moment and think back on the past year. The first question, what moments made you proud? What goals did you accomplish? It could be you finally figured out how to do a winged eyeliner for your eye shape, or you launched your dream business, you got a new job, or maybe you dedicated more time to your mental health. Every win, big or small, it all deserves to be celebrated. So if you haven't already, I highly recommend you reflect deeply on the past year. So let's dig a little bit deeper on the highlight reel. What challenges did you face? What were you up against? What lessons did you learn? Maybe there was a skincare mishap that taught you the importance of patch testing. That one is definitely for me. Maybe there's a DIY project that you were trying your hand at home and it gave you a new appreciation for professionals. There's room for what I like to call imperfect moments. I think these imperfect moments are just as important as our victories. They really do help us grow. And I encourage you to approach anything that you might see as negative with more curiosity instead of judgment. And one way I do this is scrolling through my camera roll. We should all be doing that anyway to get rid of a lot of stuff in there that we don't need anymore. But I love to see not just the highlights, but the candid moments or the bad photos or, stuff that happened or my phone fell, all of these things, they really help tell a fuller story of sometimes a moment in time or, a bigger picture. So to further guide this reflection, I want to give you some prompts. You can ask yourself, what are you most proud of achieving in 2024? What were some of the biggest obstacles that you overcame? What did you learn about yourself? What are you most grateful for? What brought you the most joy? Once you've answered these questions and reflected a little bit, I think then you can start looking forward and setting yourself up for success in the new year. One thing I'm excited to start doing this year is a gratitude jar. I saw this somewhere, and I think it's a great way, especially setting ourselves up for success, not just for 2025, but for 2026, because basically what this allows me to do is at least once a week, I will drop affirmations or achievements, anything positive into this jar. So at the end of the year, I have at least 52 bits of information about the year. So when I reflect on 2025 to prepare for 2026, I'll have more information, more data to pull from. And you can be as precise or as general as you'd like. Maybe something that you can write down is like, oh, I felt happy, or I achieved a goal, whatever it is. It's really about focusing on the wins, big or small. So it can be achievements or anything affirmative that's happened, and you just drop it into the jar on a weekly basis. And it's easier also to visualize your success and your wins throughout the year as that jar gets fuller and fuller. While I don't have any set resolutions for the new year, I do believe in goal setting. I think resolutions can really set us up for failure early on in the year. And in fact, I believe it's the second week of January where resolutions tend to completely fall apart by. Oftentimes, when people set these New Year's resolutions, they sort of evaporate or they feel like they've failed by the second week of January and they are completely abandoned. So, to avoid that and to get us set up for more wins throughout the year, I like to talk about goal setting. And I have a little bit of a twist on the way I'm planning my goals for the year. So now what I like to do to set myself up for success throughout the year is to focus on goal setting. And now that we've reflected on the past, we can look ahead to the future. Goal setting is essential for growth, but it doesn't have to feel like a chore. The SMART method, which is S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for achievable, R is for relevant, and T is for time bound. That is a method that offers a solid foundation for goal setting. I also want to put my own twist on it and just make it a little more fun. So with that, I love vision boards. And in fact, I've talked about setting up a digital vision board on a previous podcast episode, and I'll link that episode in the show notes. This year, I want to go a little bit more analog with a physical vision board. Now, that means I may digitize it and print it out. That way, I have a digital version and also a physical version. The next thing that I want to talk about, this one was so creative. If you are chronically online like I am, you may have seen people saying, I didn't expect that on my bingo card, or I didn't have that, whether it's mostly it's about a global or huge news event. But I think it'll be really fun to put things on your bingo card that you can see come to fruition. I'm going to be making a goal setting bingo card. So this you can customize to different themes, whether it's skincare, wellness, travel, personal growth, and you fill each square with a specific goal. And as you achieve them, you mark them off or you can tear it off and you aim for bingo. And it's a fun and visual way to stay motivated and track your progress. And you can also sort of self-incentivize when you do get a bingo. Maybe you will give yourself some sort of reward. Totally up to you. But for me, I think just winning with my goals, that's enough of a prize for me. So I want to be really intentional about the goals that I put on my bingo card. For example, I made a list of some areas that I want to focus on. So right now I have health, money and career, self-improvement, business, and those are the main areas that I want to target this year. I was thinking about doing one quarterly. So for the first few months of the year, have some goals set up and see what I can achieve within Q1 or till the end of the winter season. And then for spring or Q2, set up another one. So it really depends on where I am and if I'm able to do that. But I think it'll be fun to have that and see when I get bingo. This is why I always recommend the SMART method because you want to make sure, especially if something is time bound, right? You need to achieve certain goals within the first quarter of the year that you are able to do it. So it's not going to be something like a huge transformation or something like that. For example, a skincare bingo card could include goals like establish a consistent nighttime routine or maybe treat yourself to a facial, whether you get a service or it's a DIY. And then maybe a wellness theme would have goals like meditate or practice mindfulness for 10 minutes daily, cook a healthy meal from scratch, or plan a weekend getaway. Get creative. This is the time to design your cards to reflect your own personal aspirations. Just to share a few of mine from my list, here are some that are from my health goals bingo. We have meditate for 10 minutes daily using a guided app or self-practice. Include strength training and exercises twice a week. Start and maintain a gratitude journal. Write 3 things daily. Stretch for at least 5 minutes after every workout. Take a digital detox for 1 full day. At first, I was going to put per week, but I think that might be too challenging. But maybe at least 1 digital detox per month where, my phone is on silent. The people that need to get in touch with me will know how, but this is really more taking a social media break or break. So I'll figure something out just to be able to hit that goal. If I can do that once a month or 4 times in Q1, I think that would be great. And I think from there, I would be able to see if I could take that on more, especially going forward into the next quarter or the next season, and see how I can build upon previous goals that I have achieved, basically. For me, these goals, and especially with the bingo card, it's about I want to set myself up for success and to hit bingo, not necessarily super quickly, but really also set up those habits too. So when it comes to money goals, I have create and stick to a detailed monthly budget, set up automatic bill payments to avoid late fees, earn extra money through freelancing, consulting, or selling items. That's also something that I'm setting up through creating some digital course materials. So there are certain things when it comes to mindfulness that I've read a lot of books on and compiled a lot of information on, and I've set up some things for myself that I do think work that I want to put out there and share. So that's one that I'm actively working on. We also have track expenses for 1 month to identify spending habits. That one is really good, and that one is a short timeline, and I should be able to do that. Then there's another one that sort of overlaps with self-improvement, which is invest in a course or skill to increase earning potential. So I'm a firm believer in continuing education, whether that is to advance in your current career or just set yourself up potentially for a pivot, and also to discover other things that you may be interested in, because oftentimes we can not just get complacent, but you can have a certain level of competency or even mastery within your role. And, and there may not be a place to go beyond that. So just think about additional skills that you might be able to build. With self-improvement, I think there are lots of things that I can do. I'm scrolling through my list right now. There's one that is schedule and enjoy a dedicated self-care day every month. So 1 per roughly 30 days. You're going to, whether it's have a day of DIY at home or as much as possible, even if it's only a few hours, you can say it's a day, but to give yourself that time to care for yourself, I think that is so important. And I've been talking about that since day one. The other thing is create and update a vision board for your dream life. So the other thing that I like to share is while we are at the top of the year and thinking about the rest of the year and the future, there's always time to create a vision board, to think about your future. But a lot of people tend to allow more space to do it in January. But I really do think you should be reflecting on your vision board and your goals for the year as we go. Because oftentimes you may accomplish way more than you anticipated, or you might have a little bit of a redirect and maybe some of those things might change. So if you can shift and adjust those goals based on the trajectory of things that are happening, you may be really happy. It's a great way to set yourself up for success. This one is something that I do anyway, but I'm trying to figure out the best way to express it. It would be try something out of your comfort zone. So that could mean studying a new language, or it could be getting outdoors more, or maybe it's watching foreign films. Whatever it is, just something that, is not already part of your routine, something that mixes it up, but could also be fun for you. It shouldn't be torturous that it's one and done necessarily. I think it's something that you might have some interest in. So I recommend being a little bit more specific, but going in with that in mind of just trying something new that you might be interested in. And when it comes to my business goals, I want to share a few things that I had in mind when it comes to career, money, self-improvement, general wellness. There definitely is overlap within that Venn diagram. So when it comes to business, there are some things that I want to do. For example, launch a new product or service this year. And something else that I want to add on, which is really more a piece of production, is to create and share behind the scenes content to connect and build community. So maybe kind of sharing a little bit more about the behind the scenes process. It's not that glamorous. It's a lot of me with a computer and a keyboard, typing, writing, thinking about different topics and thinking about how they all connect together to create an episode, or now also incorporating visual components and elements to make a more compelling video podcast. So those are all the things that I'm thinking about for the new year. And I highly encourage you to come up with some fun, actionable items for your bingo card. Give yourself some time, not just to set up your vision board, but also whether you create a bingo card, create goals that are actionable and that you can set out to achieve. With that in mind, I hope you take that all under consideration. It's really fun to create a vision board. You get to utilize a lot of fun visual elements, whether it is a physical vision board or it's a digital one. Make sure it's something that you look back on and reflect as we move throughout the year and adjust according to milestones and goals that you achieve. And similarly with setting goals for your bingo card, have fun with it. Remember, growth isn't just about hitting those milestones. It's also about enjoying the journey along the way. Here's to celebrating our wins, learning from our challenges, and setting inspiring goals for 2025. Let's make this year our most radiant yet. Thanks so much for tuning in to What's Your Skincare Routine with Leora Luciano. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, review, and share with a friend. Until next time, stay glowing.